Did you meet Steve Ross?
I did.
Yeah.
And what a man! He was another larger than life guy who just bowled people over with kindness and I don't know if you agree, but the greatest days at Warner Brothers were when Steve Ross was alive and Terry Semel and Bob Daly ran the studio. I mean, it was the greatest studio to be at. And when Steve Ross died, a light went out.
Yeah, I never met Ross. Warner Roth, who was the captain of the New York Cosmos, loved him and talks about Ross constantly. I started at Warner Brothers at the end of the Semel regime, right before they brought in Horn. So I didn't get the full experience of it. But the stories, man, is like the stories were unbelievable to hear. The way people talked about the process and what was championed and how they went about their work. And, if you want to see an interesting documentary, Mark, you've probably seen it already, but I'd recommend it. Even though it's about the Cosmos, it's still very much about Steve Ross, is Once in a Lifetime, the ESPN documentary.
Oh, no, I haven't.
New York City, 1977. A town where anything was possible. And there was one club that everybody wanted to get into. The New York Cosmos Soccer Club.
Steve Ross had doled out millions to make the Cosmos.
Movie studios, record companies, cable, and then he's enamored with going into a locker room.
He launched a sport.
It was my brother who told Steve Ross that he should sign Pele.
Pele got a phone call from Henry Kissinger begging him to please sign the contract with the Cosmos for the good of the relationship of Brazil and the United States.
They electrified a nation.
These bigger-than-life players.
Beckenbauer, Canalia,
Pele.
They were coming out of this tunnel like gladiators coming to do battle.
They lived the dream.
Limos goes, celebrities.
It was like traveling with the Rolling Stones.
The women went wild.
I'm with the Cosmos. In those days, it was like I'm with the band.
But it couldn't last forever.
The whole thing was lightning in a bottle.
Giorgio Canalia had a malign influence over Steve Ross and therefore over the Cosmos.
Giorgio started to pay high salaries to his friends.
They probably can't stand me. I don't give a shit.
Very disagreeable fellow.
The glamour, the greed, the glory.
The New York Cosmos were the best and worst of what soccer in America was.
And that's just the first half. Once in a lifetime.
YouTube under, I think, the history of the New York Cosmos. Okay, I just ratted out somebody who's infringing on the copyright, who's got it in part. But it's really fascinating because it gets into the Ross persona and how he ran things from New York and ultimately how they all came together in his thinking and how, he would bring Mick Jagger to the Cosmos games or Robert Redford, and how he was as a person, because you can have all the filmmaking intellect in the world. If you don't have that certain X factor or chemistry, you can't get it done. And Ross certainly had that.
He did. I don't know of anybody he alienated. I mean, and Steven, Clint Eastwood were extremely loyal to Steve Ross, and Steve Ross was extremely loyal to them. So it was, he just had a real, man, whatever he had, you can't bottle it, but he was amazing.
Well, it was Ross who buried all the Atari games on behalf, the ET Atari games on behalf of Steve. And they say that he's the one who did the mafia move on that. That was supposed, the Atari tanking was one of the things that brought, some elements of the Warner Brothers machine crashing down at the time, or Ross, do you remember that?
Vaguely, very vaguely.
I mean, it's like right out of Casino, man. All those ET games vanished in the night and found themselves into a landfill. It's almost like a Fat Tony move. But Ross was the guy they say is behind it. Anyway,
your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.